where choose has an advantage, because we're actually specifying all of our arguments within one function when we're not referring to an external table or external data. So let's undo. And we're going to do this again, but this time we're going to use choose. So let's type in equals choose. Our index number is going to be the code, and then we can specify our values. So I could type directly into here, sales, then we have HR, and marketing, and then finally we have finance. Let's close the bracket, enter, and then when I copy this down, it's going to be exactly the same results that we look up, but if I was to delete this data over here, it's not going to affect the choose formula because we're referring to the different departments directly within the formula. Now, of course, if we were to use cell references in the choose formula for sales, HR, marketing, finance, instead of actually typing out the words, we're going to have the same situation as we do with the VLOOKUP. Because the formula would be referring to cells over here, if we were to delete this data, then it's going to give us some errors in our formulas. But we can use choose in a similar way to VLOOKUP, and then it doesn't matter if we delete the data or not. Now, another way that you can use choose, and this is something, again, that I do frequently, and this is actually useful if you want to create some data that you can just use for training or practicing Excel. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab these departments, Control-C, and just paste those, and paste them all the way over here because this formula can get quite long. We also add a few more departments at the end here, so let's say projects, development, and IT. Now, it might be that for business employees, I want to assign a random department to them. I can use a combination of choose and rand between to do that. So we can type in equals, let's go from choose, and this time we're going to go straight into rand between. Now remember, with this formula, we need to define a bottom and a top number, and rand between will generate random numbers between those two numbers. So my bottom number is going to be 1, and my top number is basically going to be the count of the number of different departments that I have. Now, when we have a short list, I could type in 7, or I can get Excel to do the hard work for me by using count A, selecting the range. We need to lock that range if we're going to copy this formula down. So we can close off our count A, close off rand between, and now we're back into our choose formula. So now we can specify my different values. So the first value is cell J23, let's lock that. The next one is HR, then we have marketing, next is finance, projects, development, and finally we have IT. Let's close off our choose formula. If we hit enter, we can then copy this down, and we're basically getting this list of departments in random order. And the way that this function works is rand between is basically assigning a number between 1 and 7 randomly to each of these names, and then that number is being used to reference one of these departments, 1 to 7. And of course, if we want to throw away the underlying formulas, we can Control-C and paste values over the top. So this is something I use all the time when I'm generating random data sets for practice purposes. Now let's look at one example of using choose. Now here I have a list of dates. And what I basically want to do is I want Excel to look at date in column A, and I want it to tell me what quarter this date falls into. Now there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. We could do this using the round up function. So if we type in round up, we're then going to go straight into the month function. Let's select month. And then we want to divide it by 3, which is going to give us the quarters. The final thing to specify is the number of digits. Now I don't want any digits on the end, so let's close the bracket, enter, and then if I copy this formula down, it's going to tell me that these ones are all parts of quarter 1, these ones are quarter 2, these are quarter 3, so on and so forth. Now another way you could do this is by using choose. So let's type in equals choose, then we're going to go straight into the month function again, and our second number is going to be date. Now we can specify our values. So the way that this works is that the first quarter is made up of 3 months, so January, February, March. The second quarter is made up of April, May, June, so on and so forth throughout the year. So we're going to assign a value to each of the months. So January is 1, so is February, so is March. We then have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So we're assigning a value to each of those months. If we enter, we should find that we get exactly the same thing. Now some people find this choose formula easier to remember than this round up formula. And I will leave that down to you to determine which one you want to use. I just want to show you there a few examples of how you can use choose in a formula like scenarios.
To do that, we're going to
The switch function is very similar to the choose function and can be a good replacement for something like VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. So this is a really take a look at an example of how you can use switch. Now what we have here in column D are some moving cells down. In column E we have the ratings column, which is going to be blank, and then in column F we have the IMDb score for that movie. And what I effectively want to do here is complete the ratings column using the IMDb score. And if we take a look over on the left-hand side, we have a little table here that shows the rating and the score that's attributed to that rating. Now of course this is a scenario that is kind of perfect for some kind of lookup function like VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. And it's worth noting that the switch function, despite the fact that it is really a lookup function, you're not going to find it under the lookup and reference group of functions in the functions library. You'll actually find switch underneath logical. Now before we get into working with switch, let's take a look at how we would do this if we were using XLOOKUP. And then we can do a good comparison between the two. So we're going to type in XLOOKUP. Now the lookup value is going to be the IMDb score. Comma. Where are we looking this up? What is our lookup array? Well, our lookup array is going to be wherever we're going to find the score. So this is our lookup array, B3 to B7. Now we're going to copy this formula down, so we don't want those cells moving, so F4 to lock. What is our return array? Well, we want to return the rating, so we need to select A3 to B7, F4 to lock, and then we close off our XLOOKUP. Let's hit enter. Let's copy this down, and we get exactly what we're looking for. Now, of course, the disadvantage with this again is if we were to delete this table or take the values out, we're going to get NA errors in column E. So one advantage that the switch function and the choose function also have is that we don't necessarily have to have what we're looking up in a table or a list, because we define our values from within the formula. So let's do the same thing, but this time we're going to use switch. So control shift down, just delete out everything we have in there, and this time we're going to use switch. Our first argument is the expression object. So this is basically what are you looking at? So I want to look up the score. Comma. Now I get to define the different values. So the first value I want to define is a score of 9. If it finds a score of 9, it's going to return the word present. If it finds a score of 8, it's going to return the word very good. 7 is going to be good. 6 is okay, and finally 5 is poor. and close the bracket. So now if I hit enter and copy this further down, it's going to produce exactly the same result as the X lookup. The only difference here is that if this data gets deleted out of this table, it has absolutely no effect on the values in column E, because we're defining our values that we're using as opposed to referring to them via cell references in an external table or some kind of list elsewhere on the worksheet. So let's advantage that switch and to send choose have over X lookup and V lookup. So you might find there are some scenarios where switch is going to be extremely useful to you, particularly if you don't want big long lists of data or tables of data on your worksheet, you just want the results. It's time now to do exercise 3. And this exercise is going to practice some of the skills that we learned in this section. So the first thing I'd like you to do in this exercise is practice two-way X lookups. So I'd like you to replace the words month in cell A4 and team in cell A3 with data validation drop-down lists that contain months and also the teams. I'd then like you in cell L4 to add a two-way X lookup formula to look up the month and team and return the same total. I'd like you to test this formula is working by checking if the results are correct by finding them in the table. Once you've done that, it's time to move on to the next part of this exercise. And in this exercise, we're going to practice using choose and random tweaks. So I have these team members just here, and what I want to do is assign them to a team based on colours. And I want the colour assignment to be random for each of the team members. So I'd like you to combine the choose and the random between functions to assign team members randomly to a team based on the colours that we have listed just here. And in the final part of this exercise, I'd like you to practice using the switch function. So I'd like you to use the switch function to search in this table up here for the job ratings and employees, but instead of the job rating, I'd like you to return the grade that was attributed to each of the job ratings. And I'd like you to use the switch function here as opposed to the probably slightly easier option of using a lookup function. So before I to do that, if you'd like to see my answer, then please keep watching. So in the first part of this exercise, I asked you to replace the words month and team with data validation drop-down lists. So let's get rid of the word month and do our first drop-down. So into data validation, we're going to choose list, and we need a list of months. So the source is going to be A4 to A50. That looks perfect. We're going to do exactly the same for team. Let's go into data validation. We want to create a list, but this time our source are the teams just here. Let's click the drop-down, looking good. Now that we have these two drop-downs, I want to create a two-way X lookup formula that's going to find the value in this table based on my selections in the drop-down list. So I'm going to type equals X lookup. So our first lookup value is going to be the month. Where we're looking up, we're looking it up in the month array. Now we need to go into our second X lookup. This time we're looking up the team. We're looking this up in the team array. What do we want to return? Well, our result could be anywhere in our table, so we need to select all of the values. Let's close the first X lookup, close the second, and hit enter. And now we get a result. Let's just apply a little bit of accounting format and take those decimal places down, and let's check that our result is correct. So if we take a look at March to 4, this is the answer, 3254. That's exactly what we have. If we change the month to, let's go for January, and we'll say T2, let's check that in the table, that should be our result, which it is. So once you've completed that part of the exercise, let's move on to the choose worksheet. Now for this, I asked you to use the choose and random between functions to assign team members randomly to a team based on colour. So in here, what we want to do is we want to type in equals choose, and then we want to generate some random numbers. So we're going to go straight into random between. Now the random numbers that we want to generate are going to correspond to these colours in the list. So the random number that we want to generate is going to be number 1. What is the top? Well, I have 4 items, so the top number is going to be 4. Now I'm back into my choose function, and I can assign meaning to the random numbers that I'm generating by assigning them to colours. So whenever we get the number 1 generated, it's going to output red. I'm going to block this because we want to copy it down. Whenever there's number 2, we're going to get the next colour. Whenever there's number 3, we're going to get green. And whenever there's number 4, we're going to get white. Let's close off choose, enter, and now if we start going to copy this down, we have a bunch of random colours generated by each team. The final part of this exercise was to use the switch function to search in the table for the job rating and return the corresponding grade. So now the job ratings are up here, and we have exactly what those job ratings mean. So excellent, good, okay, or poor. In the table below, I have listed employees, the job rating that they've achieved. I want to return the grade. So I'd like you to do this using some kind of lookup function, and I want you to use the switch function. So let's type in equals switch. Our expression. So what are we evaluating here? We're evaluating the value in cell B12. What is our value? Well, if the value in cell B12 is 1, then we want it to output the word excellent. If the value is 2, we want the word very good. If the value is 3, then we want it to say okay. And if the value is 4, we want it to say poor. Close off the bracket. Let's hit enter. That looks good so far. Double click copy down, and there we have our results. Remember, the main advantage of doing it this way over lookups is that I can now freely delete out this table at the top, and it's not going to affect my formula. So that's the end of this exercise. I hope you've gotten okay with that, and we'll see you in the next one.
So I don't know what later on we're going to handle like going to be.
In this lesson, we'll take a look at how we can use median and mode. And both median and mode are statistical functions. And if you're looking for them on the formulas ribbon, you're not going to see statistical functions listed out here. You're going to need to click on more functions. You'll find a group called statistical, and both of them are in here. If we scroll down to the end section, we have median and we have mode. Now, one thing to note here is that we have two mode functions, mode.mult and mode.single. In previous versions of Excel, I'm talking pretty old versions of Excel, sort of pre-2010, we only had a mode function. And mode definitely had its limitations, which meant that Microsoft implemented two new functions, mode.mult and mode.single. We're going to learn about both of these so you understand the difference. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the average. I'm going to use this little table over here, which basically registers the steps per day of a particular person. So in general, they do between 5,000 and 6,000 steps per day, over roughly a month and a half. So if I want to find what the average number of steps per day for this person were, and remember, an average is known as the mean, we can simply use our average function. We should all be very familiar with this. We can simply select our data, A3 to E12, close off the bracket. We can see that the average number of today is 5,670. Now the median is similar to average, but it finds the middle value in the list. And a lot of the time you'll find that the median value is different to the average value. Remember, average Excel will basically add up all the numbers and divide it by the number of values to get the average, whereas median will effectively sort all the numbers into order and find the middle value. So let's take a look at the median for this data set. So I'm going to click in cell H3, type in equals for median. I'm just going to select a data range, press the button, hit enter, and we have a completely different number. Now this number is also affected by whether you have an odd number of values or an even number of values. If you have an odd number of values, then Excel will take the middle value, whereas if you have an even number of values, it will take the two middle values and average them to get the median. So that's how it calculates this number. Now let's move on to mode. Now if we type in equals mode, notice that we have three functions in this list: mode multi, mode single, and then we have mode. And what you'll notice about mode is that we have this little warning triangle next to it, and that basically means that this is the compatibility version of mode. So this is a formula that's available in older versions of Excel, so Excel 2010 or previous. Mode has since been replaced in later versions of Excel with the two functions that you can see above. And both of these do slightly different things. It is worth noting that if you do use the two new functions in your spreadsheet and you send the spreadsheet to somebody using a very old version of Excel, they might not be 7 samurai. Now I'm going to just edit this formula, and I don't want to sort them in the same order. Let's put that back to descending and double click to copy that formula down. Now if I was to sort these 5-star reviews, this is making them a lot easier to see. So let's go to data and let's sort these largest to smallest. Now what would happen if I had two of these that achieved exactly the same number of 5-star reviews? So let's cheat a little bit here and change the one underneath the green mile to the same value. So 9714. Take a look at what happens to the rank. It's going to assign it the same number. Also notice that now it's skipped over number 5. Also notice that we don't have a movie ranked in the 5th position because we have two movies occupying the 4th position. So just something to be aware of when you're working with ranking key. Let's take a look at another example. This time I'm going to show you rank average, which is the other function that we have in that drop-down list. Now what I have here are some dates and we have some call slots. So maybe this is some information from a call center. I'm just reviewing how many calls they do any particular day. So what I can do here is to rank first of all, we're going to do rank EQ again. Let's just select that one. My number is going to be the number of calls logged, and my reference, well, I want to compare it to the rest of the values in column B. I'm happy with the default descending order, so I don't need that final argument. Let's hit enter, and then I can double click to copy that down, and this is going to show me the days that achieve the highest number of calls. Once again, I can sort this list to make it a bit easier, but I can see that this is in the number 1 position. So on January 4th, 2022, we received the highest amount of calls, 187. Now what about rank average? What does that one do? So let's select equals, we'll go for rank again, and the top option here is rank average. Now this has exactly the same arguments, so let's do the same thing. We're going to rank cell B4 against everything else in column B, and we're going to sort in descending order, so we can more once. In the second part of this exercise, I'd like to practice using the large and small functions. So first, I'd like to find the top 3 largest values in the table, and then I'd like to determine the corresponding product. So the formula you might need to use in order to do that. I'd like to find the top 3 smallest values in the table, and then return the corresponding product. And when you're doing this, I'd like to ensure that you use cell references instead of hard-coded values wherever possible, and also ensure that you apply the correct absolute referencing. And in the final part of this exercise,